What's up, guys? Here we are. It's that time. CrossFit Open. First year adaptive athletes have been included in this Open, and the process of getting here has been amazing. It's it's something that we all kind of pushed for and everybody wanted to see. We're very thankful to CrossFit for giving us this opportunity to show the world what we've been doing. Can't say much more than that than being excited. Castro has put together a great set of workouts for you guys in the next 3 weeks. Last night giving us this one with the 110, 330, 660 and continuous, different versions for different divisions. In the able-bodied community, they're working on the hand, the wall walk and the double under, and in the adaptive community we did our best here to try to make it a fair playing field. So we adapted those movements as we always do, and I think what we've come up with is going to work fairly well. Today we're going to talk about some tips and tricks for the seated division. Alright, so we want to talk about some of the ways to prep for this workout first. Obviously this is very shoulder intensive. There's a lot of rotation that needs to be involved, and there's going to be some balances to challenge. There's going to be a lot of grip, a lot of forearm, a lot of chest and scaps that are going to be affected in these movements. So when I'm looking to warm this up, first of all, I'm going to probably start with some banded movements, nice and slow, nice and easy, testing my range of motion. So I could do anything, I could do, if I have a band that I can hang from above, I would probably start with some type of lat pull downs, right? So pulling those lats down, keeping a straight arm. And then I would look at some scap work, and if I have access to a crossover symmetry, or even just 2 bands, or even 1 band, where I can pull the bands and pull those scaps back together, right? And get that range of motion coming, so I can get some warm up in the back in that T-spine area. I'm also going to look at rotational stuff, so I'm probably going to attack that with some stretches first. So I would be looking at sitting on the ground with my feet out in front of me, and then I'm just going to rotate through that range of motion. Try to reach a little farther back than I would for the Russian twist, so past my hip, maybe behind me. Hold this for 10, 15 seconds, and then move. So I'm just getting a good stretch, getting that rotation, getting that trunk ready to move. And then some of the things that are going to affect these seated athletes are spasticity. So I'm going to try to find my best way to calm those down. The hamstrings, the calves, the hips, they're all going to be a little tight, and we want them to be as loose as possible for when we're making transitions from laying on our stomach to sitting on our butt. So I'll do a seated hamstring stretch. If I have a strap that I can hook on my foot, I'll do that. You don't want to stretch more than your body can take, and if you're not an avid stretcher, first of all, you should be, and maybe start adding that into your daily routine. But you don't want to damage anything, but you do need to get those to calm down a bit, and giving a bit of tension on those hamstrings and letting them relax and letting some of those spasms kick out if you have them, and work their way through your body before you start into this workout is going to be key. Once I get everything nice and loose and moving and I'm feeling really strong, I'll probably jump on a ski erg or maybe on a rower. I'm going to get my heart rate up a bit, and I'm going to break a sweat, but I'm not going to be doing anything over intense. I'm just going to get myself into a position where I know that now I'm feeling loose, and now I'm feeling warm, and the muscles are moving, and I'm feeling strong. I may throw in a few push-ups, maybe some dive bomber push-ups in there to challenge some range of motion as well, but I'm going to get making sure that my chest is ready for all this work, and my shoulders. All right, once I get into this workout, I'm going to look at trying to get through these first 1, 3, 6, 9 without having to break anything up. I should be able to do 9 push-ups with shoulder taps. Without having to take a break. I don't want to push past a point of failure, right? So if I feel like in my head I was ready for this, but all of a sudden I'm getting into that set of 9, and at 5 push-ups or 6 push-ups with shoulder taps, I'm starting to feel fatigue and maybe not be able to get that full range of motion. I don't want to do extra reps because I'm getting no rep. So I'm going to rest. And the way that I suggest for the seated community to rest is to rest in the middle of a rep. As long as you finish the rep, you're fine. So if you're up and you do shoulder tap, drop down to push up, I can take my hands out as long as my chest and thighs, remain on the ground, put my hands out and let my arms rest for a second, and then finish the rep by finishing the push-up. There's no sense coming to the top of a push-up, then dropping down to the ground, resting, then have to push up again and then do a shoulder tap and a push-up. So I've just added an extra push-up. So I'd rather rest in the middle of that repetition versus adding extra push-ups to get back up into the position to do shoulder tap. Once I get into the Russian twist, or the dumbbell core twist, once we get into the dumbbell core twist, we're going to be looking at making sure we're getting that range of motion every single time. So I don't want to come short and have to come back and then realize, oh, I'm short of a rep. So I'm going to make sure that dumbbell touches every single time. And I'm going to make sure I'm getting that range of motion every single time. And I'm not going to try to sprint this. There'll be a system out there, and there'll be athletes that would like to probably try to sprint and then rest, and sprint and then rest. I'm going to work on just continuously moving at a decent pace, right? So I'm just, especially in the high volume, I'm just going to keep trying to move. There's going to be a point in time here, if you want to win, if you want to be in the top of the leaderboard, you're going to have to suffer. You're going to have to push past that little point in your voice where you're like, I need to rest. You can rest by setting that dumbbell down in the middle of your lap and then moving to the other side. You can rest on a rotation, but it's hard to breathe here. So when I rest, if I need to rest, I'm going to rest where I'm nice and straight. I don't want to let go of that dumbbell, so I may just put it in between my legs and sit and rest where I can get good air in. The keys to this workout is going to be that. It's going to be transitions, and it's going to be breathing. If we get into this and we're breathing shallow and fast, we're not going to make it through. It's going to trigger all the other things that we're trying to stop. It's going to trigger spasticity. It's going to trigger mental fatigue. It's going to cause muscle failure. So I'm looking at making sure I'm breathing the entire time. That's going to be my focus. I know I can move, and I know where my standards are going to need to met. So I'm just going to move, and I'm going to focus on breathing, getting the air in. And then I'm going to make sure when I'm doing my transitions from laying down to sitting up that I'm not over exhausting myself. So I'm going to set myself up. When I'm sitting, I'm here, and then I'm going to lay back and roll into the push-up position. I'm not going to try to scoop forward, push myself over. I'm just going to lay right on my back, roll myself over, pull my leg into the position, and get into tension. Now, in the higher reps of the shoulder tap push-ups, coming down slow and controlled, and that negative to the bottom of the push-up is ideal, but to move quickly and take some of that tension off my arm, I may just drop. So I may come to the top and then just kind of drop, making sure I have mats protecting my knees, and probably wearing another set of pads or something on my knees to make sure that my skin's protected. But it's not that far down, and I'm probably going to come down, but then regroup with my tension. It's not the most ideal way to do your push-ups, but when you're trying to move quickly and fast, it's a bit of a technique that will work and take a little bit of load off your arms for a split second. You want to make sure you're engaged when you push back up, and we want to make sure when we do the push-ups that we keep those elbows inside. I know, the old school way of doing push-ups with that wide grip, but we're loading the shoulder so much here in that light grip. If I can get my elbows in and my hands underneath my shoulders or just outside of my shoulders when I'm pushing, I can drive with more muscles, and I don't have to load my shoulder just as much. We want to make sure each time that we're touching that chest to the ground, so we get the full range of motion and we touch. And then again, if we need to rest, you just slide your arms out, you lay on your chest, keep your face enough off the mat that you can rest, but don't strain your neck looking up, right? You just want to relax, maybe shake the arms out, load back up, and push. Those are some of the keys and tips that I have for the seated athletes. I'm sure many of you are running through scenarios of how many reps you're going to do and how you're going to do it. The key to this workout is just get into it and keep moving. It's 15 minutes no matter what. So if you cap out just 15 minutes, we all know we can work for 15 minutes at any given time. We've been into multiple workouts longer than that. It's just managing the mind and making sure that you understand that those little triggers inside you that say to rest when you don't need to, you don't listen to, but you also do need to listen to your muscles. So if you know when you're pushing through a push-up and now you're starting to shake or it's not going to make it to the full range of motion, don't try to fight for another push-up. Take a second, get a rest, reload, go again. Wasting a rep on a failed rep or not to standard, you're just doing more work than you have to. There's already 605 reps to get to the end. You don't need to add any more of these reps to make it more challenging. So again, some of those keys are going to be breathing, transition, resting in the appropriate position. So resting on that push-up at the bottom and not at the top. So don't hold yourself up here or come back down. Do your shoulder taps before you come back down. If you're going to rest in the middle of the push-up, then come back up. Now you're ready into your next rep. You finish that rep and you move on. Don't add more work. I hope you guys enjoy this. We're going to have lots of tips and tricks coming in English and Spanish. We're working with Mark and Leah, which you guys have seen lots of times, and we're obviously with the Adaptive Training Academy. We're out here trying to give you the best experience as possible. If you hit a roadblock and none of these movements are doable, there are scaling suggestions that we have, and we just work, we identify where the weaknesses are, and we work towards the next time. The first time I did the Open, there was no scale division, and well, there was no adaptive division or scale division, so we just did what we could with what was available, and then you build, you recognize, you point out, you find your weaknesses, you work on those weaknesses, so the next time these movements come around, you can do more reps than you could this time. If you got 0, maybe you get 3. If you got 3, maybe you get 10. Maybe you finish the workout, depending on how much training you're going to do through the year and how much you focus on attacking your weaknesses. I hope everybody has a blast. I can't wait for the next 3 weeks. This has been where we've wanted to get to. Thank you to CrossFit and Dave Castro for giving us this opportunity and trusting us with coming up with some adaptations for you guys. Hope you have a great day.
Hold on. Rewind.